Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining us. A bit of housekeeping to start with. So you can submit questions through the Q&A icon that you can see at the bottom of the screen. There's also a polls icon. We're going to be collecting some poll information with a series of questions throughout our webinar today. You can weigh in and share some content and chat using the chat icon. And today this session will be recorded and shared. So everyone's talking about AI. Is it hype and hyperbole? Is it fad or future? If you're innovative and customer obsessed, you know that AI is the future because business adoption has been faster than the biggest pandemic of all time, and consumer adoption has been incredibly fast as well. So it's spread and been adopted in an unprecedented way. But what about the impact? McKinsey just reported that generative AI's impact on productivity could add up to 4.4 trillion of value to the global economy. Importantly, 75% of that falls across 4 areas: customer operations, marketing and sales, software engineering, and research and development. Needless to say, Lex has been focused on turning the AI opportunity into AI value for our highest priority, you and your customers. So the time's now. I'm Dave Whittle, and today I'm joined with Aaron Wallis, our CTO and founder, Dave Chinn, our CEO and founder, and I'm going to share why AI matters and present some use cases and live examples of AI in Lex's customer data and experience platform. So aside from McKinsey's claims, why should AI matter to you? Simply put, AI solves 3 challenges that each and every one of you are facing. The first one's capacity. With a slow in consumer spending, you've all tightened your belts. And now more than ever, it's tough to find the precious resource to spend in SaaS tools and on training. The second area of theme is capability. Generating that actionable customer insight to inform strategy and grow sales requires specialist resource that are hard to find, hard to train, and hard to retain. And of course, thirdly, capital. Scaling one-to-one personalization requires a really big investment in strategy, in creative, in messaging, and in execution. So what's the opportunity? The opportunity is that AI can help solve the capacity, capability, and capital challenges you all face with low to no fatigue, low to no error rate, and almost at an infinite scale. So today we want to introduce you to our new colleague and yours, Lexi. Lexi's an AI assistant. She's integrated into Lex's CDXP to help you understand, acquire, and grow and retain customers. Lexi's a CDXP savant. She has the skills to help you set up and configure all you need to know and do. And in fact, we've shaved thousands of clicks out of our products. And now Lexi will take this further by completely automating common tasks via proactive notifications and chat interfaces. Lexi's also an insights guru. She interprets and summarizes customer data faster than you can, supported by a clear understanding of data taxonomies, business objectives, and KPIs to dramatically reduce time and complexity of data analysis to help you get to action faster. And Lexi's also a personalization pro, fueled by thousands of data points on each and every customer, along with brand objectives, personality, and employee tone. Lexi helps teams scale one-to-one personalization for acquisition, growth, and retention, sales and customer service, both in-store and online. So in summary, Lexi is your new colleague to help you turn insight into action and achieve your goals as an individual, as a team, and as an overall business. Okay, so that sounds amazing, but where do I start? Those 4 words, where do I start, have been the most common question we've been asked about AI in recent times. And Dave and Az are really glad you asked, because they're going to start at the very start. Over to you guys.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dave. Great intro. We're going to start in the product. And we've got a group of people on the call today who use the product every day already. We've got some great clients joining us today, but we've also got a bunch of people who have never seen the product before. So we've really tried to make sure that in the demo that we're about to provide, that there's a good balance of new and old and some introduction to some of our existing technology. We're going to start by actually looking at one of the core tenets of Lexi and the product that we're building around that and the capability, which is to make sure that Lexi understands retail and understands your brand really, really well. So I'm just going to navigate over here while Dave can intro some of this content.
So as Aaron loads up, we are going to be demonstrating to you today a fictional business called Fitness Co. And so Fitness Co, the data in Fitness Co is all synthetic data. But to help you understand the brand more, they're a premium athleisure brand that produces clothing for both men and women that helps you transition from the gym to the street. Their core brand values are versatility, innovation, mindful living, and sustainability. Now, these values are very important to understand because Lexi, by understanding those values, is able to craft messaging to your customers that speaks in your tone of voice and represents your values. In addition to your kind of brand mission, description, and values, we've also created the functionality to inform Lexi of your key business objectives. And as you can see here, Fitness Co, like many of you today, is very much focused on churn reduction, growing customer lifetime value, and increasing retention. Now, these objectives flow through the product and enable Lexi, when interpreting your data, to make recommendations that help you impact your business objectives.
So when we bring this into the product, particularly our segmentation capability, it's really important to note that Lexer already does and understands retail so deeply. Most of our clients have somewhere between 200 and 300 different attributes already set up, already configured, already operating across their CDPs, which include things like, in this particular case, Fitness Co is a Shopify user. We've got details like average order values, spend deciles, total spends, etc., that the CDP already understands. And the journey that we've been on with Lexi is to make sure that these definitions that we've spent over the last decade building out for retailers, plus your objectives, plus your missions, plus your values, actually weave into the recommendations and the capabilities that the AI have in being able to provide really, really great outcomes. I'm going to create a segment here to demonstrate this.
So as Aaron loads up a segment so we can get started to show you where Lexi is going to help you first. Now, one of Lexer's key strengths is the ability to not only build very granular segments in a very easy way without needing to know SQL or Boolean operators, but it's the ability to, once you've created a segment, so Aaron here has just selected customers that live in the US, and now he's searching for an attribute which is state. So we're going to see the distribution of customers in the US by the state that they live in. It's this ability to learn about my 29,000 US customers.
So when I look at state, normally we'd come in here and we'd see the attribute analysis and we see a table of raw data that needs to be understood. But in this case, we've now decorated it with Lexi as an opportunity here. So Lexi is actually taking in all of the raw data around this particular attribute for the segment that we've created, which is those customers who are from the USA. And then we're actually producing two different bits of analysis for us. We're looking at the distribution across all of the state data. And we're also trying to identify opportunities that exist for marketers, brand managers, campaign managers, et cetera, to be able to actually take action out of that without having to sit here and sort of really analyze and understand raw data, being able to provide that into a much punchier statement that can actually be used.
So Lexi's very succinctly here telling us that Oregon, North Carolina, and Georgia and Colorado represent our primary states. They contribute 28% of our customers, but equally it's providing us some opportunities, and it's suggesting that targeted marketing would be beneficial in these regions, but it's also highlighting some of our lower represented states, and it's hinting at the possibility of focusing on those states to gain additional penetration.
Yeah, so we might move on to gender as an example. So this is a good demonstration of Lexer's ability and existing capability around AI. So inferred gender is an attribute that we know is really uncommon within a retail data set, like actually truly at scale, understanding your customers' genders, to be able to actually fuel your marketing and segmentation capability off of it. So for a really long time, we've been building a neural net around inferring gender off consumer behavior and demographic information such as name and location and nationality and so on. In this particular case, this might seem like a bit of a shallow insight to extract because male and female are the only two genders represented in this particular data set. But actually some of the insights that come out of it and the actions that come out of it are pretty interesting to be able to take action on.
So it is showing us here that, we do have a fairly even split. So 54% of the customers are male, 45% are female. What I like here is it's providing the recommendation that, with an evenly split database of men and women, that you should be thinking about marketing strategies that speaks to both groups. And that all flows through to things like promotions, advertisements. And so ensuring that that kind of diversity of material is really important when you have an even distribution.
Yeah, absolutely. So we might move on to comparison now.
And one of the things we're going to be doing today is launching some polls as we go through. And so I think some of you may have seen a poll just launch. We're really eager to hear from you around the areas that we can incorporate Lexi into the product and your interest in using this feature within the product. And we're going to use that information to help drive our investment and product roadmap so that we give you focus first on the parts of the product that you're most interested in, that you see delivering the most value. So I would love you to respond to the poll as you can. And Dave, I think that's the attribute comparison one, not the attribute insight, but we'll make that work as we go.
Yeah, very good. So in the background, while Dave was talking there, I loaded up a different attribute, which is first order product name, a really, really common analysis that we do for our customers, which actually helps understand what was the first product that someone purchased in their life cycle with the organization. So we've got a fairly rich data set here because there is a really diverse list of products that Fitness Co sell. But we're actually going to focus the analysis on comparison here. And so in this case, the attribute comparison actually allows us to do some pretty comprehensive analysis. It kind of creates like pivot tables around all of the values within attributes. So I'm going to set one up here that actually looks at the first order product name against all of the total orders.
Now, this is something that's commonly done to understand, what are the best products to use in my acquisition campaigns that will acquire customers that have a higher propensity to repeat purchase. And so as we looked at the data set for product name, we could see that there was a pretty even distribution of products. However, their one-time buyer rate that we can see as we look down the table is not evenly distributed. And so here, one of the things that Lexi is calling out is that we have a high volume of one-time buyers. It is calling out specific products that are more likely to attract customers that have repeat purchases. So it's calling out the Logan Heat Tech Tee, the Leah Yoga Top, and the Desiree Fitness Tee as being products that are more likely to acquire customers that repeat order. And then as it goes through the cohort benchmarks, what it's doing is it's creating a cohort for each group of customers that bought these individual products first. And it's analyzing their total orders to understand which cohorts are over or underrepresented for the different order distributions. And it's this analysis that it does incredibly quickly that is more taxing for us mere humans to do, where it enables us to draw out those key insights around which are the best products for us to be acquiring new customers on, and equally, which are the products that potentially are exacerbating our one-time buyer challenges that so many brands are suffering with today.
Mm-hmm. We know that a lot of brands and a lot of you on the call today are reporting this information beyond the product. You're taking it out of it, you're putting it into slideware and so on. And so we're sort of really focusing on the ability to make it really easy to get the data out of the product and into other documents and so on, to be able to share that and extrapolate it out into your other reports and so on the journey as well. I'll change this up and we'll look at a different attribute now and go days between first and second order. So this is one of the more comprehensive analysis that happens, which really drives that sort of first to second order cohort analysis.
This is commonly done to understand, okay, so I now know which of my products, when purchased first, have a higher propensity to lead to a second order. This question is saying, well, how long does it take the customers to purchase their next product after they've bought that individual product first? And so as you can see here, we're providing some really kind of detailed information around the days to second order in some bin ranges. Now, the Lexi is identifying here that customers are most commonly making their second order within the first 30 days. Equally, it's starting to identify different patterns of repeat purchase. It highlights that there's a spike at that 180 days to 365 day mark, but it's also showing that there's a very small proportion of customers that are likely to make a second order when they get past that 1100 day mark, which is starting to give us some insights into likely churn. Now, it is also looking through those individual cohorts and it's plucking out the products. And you can see here, it's highlighting the Desiree Fitness Tee as one that has a really strong start with a significant volume of purchases to second order coming in that first 30 days. So it's really picking out those individual products, which is valuable for you as retailers to start to inform the triggers for your automated marketing strategy. So if someone buys product A first, how long before I start targeting messaging to them to try and drive that incredibly valuable second order?
Absolutely. I think one of the things to keep our minds on in here as well is that this type of analysis is one of the most common things that our clients and our success team do on behalf of our customers. But I don't know about you, but I go a bit cross-eyed after looking at these tables for a little bit too long. It's quite difficult to call out the anomalies or call out the interesting things. So highlighting Lex's ability to do that and to also do it from the perspective of retail, so understanding consumer behavior, retail behavior, and the objectives that you and your brand are working towards. If I was to run this exact same analysis on a different brand with different objectives, the outcomes of Lexi would be different because of the recommendations and the understanding it has of your brand and of your outcomes.
So I think this is, again, one of the, in this data set, we're looking at 236 attributes. And so there's a lot of combinations that you can run. So we see a lot of clients do things like, I want to learn more about my Experian Mosaic segments, and I want to understand which are my most favorable Mosaic segments and why. Do some segments buy certain products that others don't? And there's just so many ways that you can use this feature to derive insights. But again, interpreting the data, summarizing the data, and taking actions from them, it can be time consuming. Now, this attribute comparison, I'm just going to quickly relaunch the poll for attribute comparison. Can you have a quick look at the poll? And if this is an area of the product that you are interested in, I'd love to just give that a quick score, and we're eager to start talking to you guys about this one.
So while you're doing that, I'm going to move into the comparison tool within this CDXP. So this is definitely the heaviest of heavy insight tools that exist within it, which allows us to actually compare the outcomes and the profiles within different segments. So looking at this from a male lookalike to a female lookalike, I'll just set this up.
Now, as it runs, this area of our product presents a credible opportunity for insight when creating a new segment. So we see customers use this to, hey, I've just created a new segment of customers that I'm interested in engaging. How does that segment of customers compare against all of my customers? So what makes them similar or different to my average looking customer? We've had customers use this product to do catchment analytics. So, hey, I'm interested, I might be opening a new store. I want to compare these different catchment areas, and I want to know if the profile in each of the catchment areas is more or less favorable for our ideal client profile. Now, the challenge here is that the volume of data that is available for the comparison is incredibly extensive. And so maybe as you can show the sheet with.
Yeah, I'll do a little download of this. And so the actual underlying raw data that fuels this is thousands of rows long and many columns wide. So the raw data behind this analysis is huge, but in it is some really incredible insight as well, which, for us, as well as for you and your teams, actually takes a really long time to get an understanding of. So we're really excited to provide marketers with the ability to actually extract some of the key insights out of that straight away, and take action on it immediately.
This is an area of the product that our customer success team use extensively on our customers' behalf. And it's an area of the product that we, through our R&D, we've seen Lexi do incredible work at being able to pull out what are the most salient insights when doing a segment comparison. And what I would say is here we're comparing two segments against each other. You have the ability to compare up to 4 segments, which obviously dramatically increases the breadth of data that you can review against. Now, we haven't yet built out this feature. This is something that we're incredibly eager to get feedback from you on, whether you've previously tried to use our segment comparison and may have had a problem, and is this something that you would be interested in us incorporating into the product. So we've just launched a quick poll. If you could take a moment to share your excitement or lack of excitement around using this part of the product, we obviously would love to see the results.
Fantastic. So while you're doing that, I'm going to navigate back into segment, and we're going to shift the conversation a bit into our track metric capability. So I'm going to look at a segment here called e-commerce customers. And e-commerce customers are a segment that has already been created in here that just basically looks at individuals who have a total spend across e-commerce. So it's a pretty basic segment, but it's still rich and necessary from a segmentation standpoint. We have previously set up a bunch of different metrics that actually happen on that profile, on that segment, which in this case are looking at things like total orders, total spend, and the population of that as well. And normally our users would come in here, look at it, browse it, try to understand the different date ranges and so on. But in this case, Lexi's been able to give us a really great insight.
And this is a real unique part of the Lexer proposition, which is you can create a segment and you can create any range of metrics for any of the attributes that we have. You can use those attributes to create a metric, either a sum, an average, or you can look at the unique values within an attribute. And as we looked across our clients are tracking thousands of metrics. So the average client, 400 segments, 1,000 track metrics. And just that sheer volume of metrics can be really overwhelming when it comes to understanding how performance is changing across the multiple segments that you manage within the Lexer CDXP. Now, I think what Lexi does really well here is look at the trend data. So help you to provide a very succinct explanation around how that metric is moving, but equally identify anomalies. And so Lexi is looking for a wide range of anomalies. Those anomalies look at things like any missing values. Are there any outliers? Are there any shifts in the distribution or changes in the distribution of the data over the period? And that's valuable because a lot of you are taking these numbers into your board reporting, and we want to make sure that you have a high degree of trust and confidence in the metrics in the platform. And if there has been an issue that may have been caused by, a system outage or something like that, that you're aware of it before you incorporate those metrics into your reporting.
The thing that I really love about this as well is this particular example includes a bit of a teaser of the R&D that we're doing in the background at the moment, which includes the ability for us to have follow-on prompts and follow-on questions on the data. So looking at this, we have a huge library of playbooks of how you might enact particular CDXP strategies to alter your to accomplish your business objectives. So being able to actually like make a recommendation around that, for example, where Lexi kind of takes the recommendations and the insights that have been gathered and actually starts providing additional information, allows sort of the ability for you, the marketer, to start having a conversation with Lexi and to sort of navigate and lead to the outcomes that you're really hoping to drive out of it, which is really, really cool. I'm going to navigate to track, which is another area that we'd actually normally look at a lot of these metrics. And as Dave mentioned before, our clients have a huge amount of information configured within the CDXP. The average number of segments is around 400, and each of those usually have a couple of track metrics attached to them to be able to monitor the longitudinal change of particular metrics. So when we look at the growth dashboard here that has been configured, we do see a pretty wide range of different reports and so on, and each of these metrics tell us a little bit of information. And again, we're able to dive in and get analysis on a really specific metric. So in this case, it's again looking at this is like a 60-day sort of longitudinal window of all of the transactions that occurred within 2022, and a pretty decent analysis of that as well.
Now, one of the areas that we're particularly excited about incorporating Lexi in is at the top of the track dashboard. So this will feed all of the metrics within the track dashboard to Lexi to identify things like, are there any trends? Are there attributes like metric values that are moving in a particular direction that help inform Lexi that you are achieving your business objectives that you've specified, or whether you're falling away from your business objectives and you need to identify and take action. And so this reporting will, today our view is that it'll live in the product, but there is, scope to think about how this type of analysis on these dashboards could be sent out of the product to a group of users on a recurring schedule, say every week or every month, so that you're starting to inform the broader business around the key customer metrics that are driving your performance.
Which particularly tied with those objectives that we sort of talked about before. The output of those summaries are really, really impressive.
So this area of analyzing metrics on segments and analyzing the totality of a track dashboard is again another poll that we have that we would like to get your feedback on. So we've just launched a poll. If this is something that you're interested, we'd love to hear from you to get a sense of this high-level business reporting is of value.
So we're going to move on to a very different area of the platform and talk about a new product that we have called Contact. So I might get that set up, Dave, while you take it away.
Right. So for us, Contact is really putting the X in CDXP. And so for our customers, one home truth for most brands is that the top 20% of your customers will make up between 60 to 70% of your revenue. And there is a great opportunity for you as brands to invest an extra effort, time, resource to engage those high-value VIP customers to not only ensure their retention, but to grow future value from those customers. And so what we're showing you here is one of our newer products called Contact. This product will enable you to originate a message on a one-to-one basis via email to an individual customer. Now, these are all linked to segments that you create in Understand and in the product segment. This first segment you're looking at are customers that have met this brand's VIP threshold, which for them it's greater than $1,000 of spend. But these customers have not placed an order for 2 years. And so they're hitting that lapsed time range. And as you run your eye down the queue column, you can see they're all at 730 days, 745, 749, but they've all spent greater than $1,000 with the brand. So as if you click on one of the profiles, we have trained Lexi to consume information from your brand mission, your brand values, information on the customer's profile, and information about the segment that they're in and the objective of the segment. And you can see here that Lexi is creating a highly personalized message one-to-one that's being sent from, in the message settings at the top, from Hunter, who is, for this brand, their VIP customer engagement manager. Now, you can see as you look down the message, I mean, this is better than I can write. It's the easiest way to describe it, but it's able to do it at such speed. It's incorporating elements of the customer's state. It's referencing their first order with the brand and how long it's been since their previous order. It has some fun to it. It's extending the customer with an incentive to repeat purchase. It's giving them a clear call to action to visit the website. But it's also really layering in the elements of like luxury and exclusivity into the tone of voice, which fit with the brand's mission and brand values. Now, if we navigate to another segment, there's a segment here for proactive outreach to new VIPs. And so you can see it's a considerably smaller segment, but if you have a look at the days since their latest order, they're all very fresh. And these are customers that in their last purchase have just met the spend threshold to be classified as a VIP customer. So as if you click on a profile, this would create a message from Hunter that is introducing himself and congratulating them and thanking them on their first purchase. It's recognizing the date of the purchase, and he's thrilled to inform them that they've unlocked VIP status. And so from here, he's introduced himself and he's ensuring that if they need anything, that he's their dedicated point of contact to come to help.
One of the cool things I love about this is we're basically identifying what pieces of attribute data out of the CDXP we want to expose to contact. So in this case, if I actually search for and add to it, like the product name that they have purchased before, last order product name, it'll actually rewrite it and start including all of that additional information into it. And so what we haven't demoed in here is that there's the configuration area where you can actually go and define what these all mean to be. So here, your recent order of the Angel Light running short and the other fitness short 4 days ago has granted you VIP status. Like that's a fundamentally different message to what we saw from the last one.
That's so good. Okay, one more and a slightly different flavor here. Now, as you click, you can see again, it's a small group. These customers who have a recent order placed an order in a retail store. And in this case, the store is, here it's Chadstone. These customers, their order was 3 times the average order value of the store. And so if you change the message settings to Claire, this is prompting a message to the customers. These are our recent big spenders. And this is, if you see that none of these customers meet the threshold to be a VIP customer just yet, but they've placed a material order recently in the store. And it would make sense for Claire to reach out to these customers and thank them for their order and make them feel special and recognized. And this is part of that kind of nurturing process of how we get these customers to feel valued and nurture them towards their VIP status.
Right.
So kind of to keep the poll train going, this is one of the parts of the product that we'd love to get some feedback from you to see whether you'd be interested in using this part of the product to manage some highly targeted comms to VIP customers.
Okay. So Dave and Az have taken you through a lot, but there's more. Some of you on this call might be aware that we have been building and have released a clienteling product. We've called that clienteling product Serve. And so those of you that have stores or interact with customers in real life, we wanted to give you a sneak peek of that new tool. It's the latest addition to the suite of our engagement tools. And here it is. Az is going to demo it live here on an iPad. And it starts with the ultimate question. Have you shopped with us? So So this our clienteling product is powered by all of the customer data from all of the data sources that are in the platform. As here is checking in a customer or searching for a customer, the fellow David, is that what it says? So as can now check in that customer into that environment, and that might be at an open for inspection, in a store, in a car dealership, wherever you interact with a customer. And then, so now we know that customer, we know time and place, that customer has been served by that sales associate in that store at that time. The profile is then presented to the salesperson, and that profile tells them at a glance what segment they're in, what type of person, what they've bought, and every single piece of interaction history, whether it be the green tracksuit pants that they bought, the visit to the website, how many orders, whether they're a VIP, all at a glance, really, really quickly, right through to have they visited the website, at what time. Now, the other thing that's really important about this new product, and there will be another webinar to go and deep dive into this, is that using now our self-serve forms capability that we launched a couple of months ago, you can build a form to get your salespeople to collect more information about that customer. And that might be reason for visit, it might be fit information about the customer, preference information, birthday information, anything that's filling out the customer profile, to then go and use in one of the other products or help improve Lexi's ability to deliver a personalized message to you. Now, of course, as can check out the customer now, and we know that customer has come, gone, and we have an enriched profile of them, which is super exciting. Now, I've just given you 2 minutes on Serve. We're going to do a real deep dive into that. We have some clients using this product already. It's out in the wild in real stores, and we're excited to share more with you on that in the next few weeks.
Thanks, Dave. Now, this is an AI webinar, so it would be ill of us to talk about Serve and not highlight the AI capability that we're looking to build into it, which really ties into that contact story that we just showed you in the actual Lexer CDP Hub. So in this case, we have this customer follow-up option. And the intent here is that, sales associate at the end of their shift or a store manager at a regular point of the day or at the end of the day might come in here and actually look at all of the customers that have engaged in the store today, who have purchased or maybe haven't purchased, and actually give them the opportunity to do a direct outreach. So looking through this, I might click on John, for example. It might ask me, what is the intent of me reaching out to John, which could just be something as simple as a thank you for stopping by. And these are using the same sort of segment configurations that Dave talked about before within Contact, which could also encourage them to I'm allowed to give them a discount on their next visit, or they didn't transact actually today, and I want to encourage them to go online and complete the purchase and so on. So by selecting these, as you would expect, it uses all of that data, as well as the profile, as well as the store visit information and so on, to be able to draft that original piece of content, that proactive contact with the customer, so that then that can also be done. And you can imagine through that process, you can actually get through a fair bit of scale in a really short period of time, whilst ensuring a really, really high level of personalization.
This is an area of the product that, again, I was in a store, maybe just a super quick little story. I was in one of our customer stores that's testing this product. A woman walked in, she was dressed head to toe in black hat, black top, black pants, black shoes, black bag, black socks. She had a pair of bright yellow linen pants. She checked out the pants and she shared with the sales associate that her daughter was getting married in Mallorca, and the theme of the party was a splash of color, to which the sales associate can then record that information to send a follow-up to the customer to thank them for their purchase and hope that they enjoy their daughter's wedding, or maybe when they get back, to create a moment of connection between the sales associate and the customer that is, we all know, is so compelling. Okay. So we have some time for Q&A. We want to thank everyone for all the questions that they've had in the Q&A area. We have answered a number of them. If anyone has any more questions, we can cover them now. You will also see a poll has just popped up We are seeking interest in customers that would like to or are open to beta testing the new AI features as we release them. So if you do have an interest in being a beta testing partner for any of these features, I'd encourage you to complete the poll, and that'll give us the opportunity to be in contact with you as and when we start to get ready for beta testing.
All right, I'm going to draw the poll, that final poll, to a close. Thank you. Sorry, that's been a bit clunky. That's operator error from me. I was the poll guy, also called the fall guy. So we have a couple of questions that we can respond to. Every question's been responded to publicly, so you can see the Q&A and the content in the chat. There's a couple of the questions have really predominantly been about availability and access and costs, but there's also some questions about features and access. Some of that relates to data. Some of it relates to the use cases that we are presenting. So there's a guest question here about the highlights Lexer can help with as a client predominantly using Lexer for customer interactions through chat functionality. So I did send a response that's related to that. So our Respond product, for those of you unfamiliar with it, is a customer sales and service product that many clients use to combine all digital channel communication with inbound messaging, triggered by inbound messaging from customers and prospects. And that helps, not only does that help with the workflow, ease and simplicity, but also with the measurement and reporting on that. And you can see now how, just like Az and Chinn shared, how the content creation learns from the customer and the brand profile and preferences. Lexi will do the same thing with the customer service workflow.
Yeah. We have a AI roadmap forming around Respond at the moment. And one of the things that I'm definitely the most excited by that I've seen the team work on is actually using generative AI to summarize the overall output from a service agent over a period of time to help judge the quality of that agent's capability, accuracy, and politeness, and so on. I saw a question up there, which I thought I might just take a moment to call out. I think it's been answered via text, but it was around sensitive information, and with the advent of generative AI and the LLMs that are flowing around, understanding what data exposure looks like is really, really important, particularly when we're talking about confidential information, such as customer records, transaction histories, and address details, and so on. So at this point of time, we have been building Lexi surrounding many different LLMs and generative AI platforms. Some of those are ones that will run on what we call the red zone, which is where we hold all of your customer data. It is the red zone is what we're certified for in our annual penetration tests, but also things like our SOC 2 and ISO certifications. If you're a client of Lexer, you very well might have submitted us an InfoSec questionnaire that went along with the master service agreement, and it would articulate things like what we're allowed to do around your data, who we're allowed to expose it to, and for what purpose. We foresee that some of the functionality of Lexi will be able to be operated within the red zone, so without exposing your data to external LLMs that may or may not learn from your information. But there may be other capabilities that we do choose to use public models such as ChatGPT and so on to help fuel the outcomes. What we won't do, though, is do that on your behalf without your accepting the risks. And so, as always, with everything within the Lexer CDXP, it can be turned on or off depending on your sort of enterprise level expectation on privacy, governance, and also user access. So that's something we will continue to take very, very seriously.
We have had one question, which is with the VIP Lexi contact, is there a way to configure it to send an email to a predefined email with said information for the concierge to action? And so today we're really eager to control users and permissions and roles. So we would create a role for the concierge, and they would have like tasks or roles for things for them to action. and they would then be able to go into the product, and we could integrate their concierge email into it for them to send from, and they would manage their tasks that are responsible to them through the product that way. So they would be a user of the product.
There was another question I want to call up to. Dave Whittle has actually responded in the chat, but I just wanted to add a little bit of extra detail to it, which was around an attribute guide. So unrelated to Lexi and some of the AI conversations today, there is actually a new feature coming to the hub that will expose all of the attributes in a table format. So you can just browse them all, understand the population of them, see the descriptions and definitions and so on. We have also been shipping some new updates to learn.lexer.io, which is our knowledge base of everything to do with Lexer. And there's a lot more detail in there today about the attributes that exist. But one of the things that we're also working on, and Lexi forms a part of, is actually starting to make more recommendations around attributes to use. So when we saw earlier the attribute comparison, we've been really working on this idea of like, well, if you're looking at, say, state, what are the most common and valuable attributes that you can use to compare against state to extract great values and great insights? So we see that as part of our future around our AI strategy. So yeah, very, very much thinking about that a lot right now as well.
I think there was, did we cover the email about contact, about VIP? So there's an approval workflow. I think the question was about that. So we've got that. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Well, if there aren't any other questions, firstly, thank you for joining us, and thanks for those who participated in the poll. That's really useful and helps guide the next steps for us, how we focus and prioritize and sequence our continued product development and go to market. I think we all agree that AI is the future, and the time certainly is now. Lexer is your CDXP. If it's not already, it should be. And Lexi, our friend Lexi, your new colleague and ours, is looking forward to being a real help every step of the way. So have a great day. If you've got any more questions or comments, contact your success manager or your contact at Lexer, or feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'd be more than happy to help. Really appreciate your time, and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.